Hey guys, and welcome back to 30 Minutes with Andy again this week. This show is every single Wednesday, just a reminder, at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. So have a super popular guest today, Cydne Seymour, who was actually just voted 2022 Regional Tech Trainer of the Year in all of the KW ecosystem. So congratulations on that. We're super excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm humbled and honored in all ways to be given that and excited to be here.
And I know you're not one to love taking all the credit and stuff, but even Daniel, our local market center tech trainer, he's like, this is the one I've been waiting on. This is the show that I've been waiting on. He loves you and thinks the world of you, so we appreciate it. So I've introed you just a little bit. You intro you and give everybody kind of a high-level view of your journey with KW, kind of how you ended up in the regional tech trainer position over the Carolinas, and why. Like, what led you to that? Where'd that passion come from to do what you do now?
Yeah, thank you. And I'm so excited to be here. So thank you for asking me to be here. So I've been with KW this year. I'll celebrate my 13th year, which is really shocking to me. I can't believe that. I started with Keller Williams in 2010, and just a little bit of background. Before I worked for Keller Williams, I did outside sales for a really large food distributor and loved doing that. And 2008 hit, and like everybody else, realized that I probably needed to find a different place to work. And so really what I wanted to look for is I felt like I wanted a company that had the resources and the power of a large corporation, but had the feel of working for a locally owned family business.
Right.
And I really think that KW hits all of that. So I started with KW in 2010 and started as director of first impressions in one market center, and got really close with my OP and let it be known that I wanted opportunity and that I was willing to think outside the box. I was willing to own the role to figure out what those opportunities were. And so just continued down the path. I was director of agent services for that market center before that role even was a name, and then moved into director of training for 3 market centers. I got KWU approved in, I believe, 2019. And so really started training heavy, teaching Ignite at a regional
Right.
level,
Yeah.
at multi-market center level as well. And then obviously teaching on command at a really high level once that rolled out. And loved what I was doing, loved the opportunities, and then got a phone call from Mr. Jason Abrams saying, hey, we spoke to your OP, first of all, so that's been cleared. And the Carolinas is potentially looking for an RTT. Are you interested? And I thought, well, if Jason thinks I should do this, I might be interested. And
Might be a good
so
idea.
yeah. So just literally went through, started this journey as an RTT in early 2021 is when I started with the Carolinas region. So going on 2 years with them. And I mean, I'm thankful and blessed every single day that this is the family and the group of agents and leaders that I get to work with every day, because the collaboration with this company and really specifically with this region is like nothing I've ever witnessed or been a part of.
Yeah. Well, we certainly are just as grateful to have you as you are to be there. Because there's anytime anybody's ever need anything, I've needed anything, you're just like, yep, schedule a time, I'll do it. Even doing this call, you're like, yes, I'd love to do it. And you're very easy access, and that says a lot about who you are as a leader. So thank you.
Of course, thank you.
So let's get into the meat and potatoes. So
Yeah.
everybody knows about Command, and for those of there are people listening that are with other firms and things like that.
Yeah.
That's okay. We
Of
invite
course.
them in.
Yeah.
Command. Command is our platform. Command is our CRM. Command is our everything, end all be all when it comes to technology, communication. Everything that we do at this point funnels through what we call Command. So there's been major developments in Command over the last, let's say, 6 months to a year that have been just business altering, kind of mind blowing type things. So before I say too much about it, my first question for you is why Command and why now?
Okay. So I think if we back up a little bit of why Command, I think when Gary and the team really started on this journey, um, Gary Keller is, and I believe like his heart is in that of protecting the real estate agent and protecting the real estate agent, protecting their database, protecting their business. And so realizing we potentially need to build our own system and our own platform that agents can use on a daily business, a daily, every day to be able to run their business. So I think that's why Command. I think that's when we started with the journey.
Mm-hmm.
When I say why now, and when you ask that, and I love that question, and I think sometimes, and I know we have maybe real estate agents that are listening and watching, maybe people that are not in the real estate business as well. I know we've got all kinds of people here. So I think what's interesting is so often we think just like a realtor. We think just like a real estate agent of like, oh, it's technology. It's one more thing that I need to use or I should be using. And I think so often, like if we think of ourselves like a consumer, we love technology,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
If I were to say like, hey, we're going to go drive to a listing appointment and we have no idea where it is, I don't know how many people would say, well, let me take out my old Rand McNally, map and let me actually
Yeah.
follow the line and see where I need to go. Like, no, we would, pull up our GPS or our map or whatever it is, and we would figure out how to get there because technology has made our lives so much easier. And it's the same with Command, not only on the agent side, but also on the consumer side of being able to receive automatically every month specifically what's happening in their local market,
Yeah.
for them to be able to look at recent solds in the area, for them to be able to be reminded of you purchased a house this year, maybe you need to look at homestead and all of these different things. I think um, Gary Keller said something once that I continue to think about, which is technology is never going to replace the real estate agent. However, those agents that embrace technology are going to replace those real estate agents that do not.
Yeah.
And it's just like technology, in my opinion, can be a learning curve. And we all, nobody likes change. However, it can really make you bigger, faster, stronger, and allow you to have more of those authentic one-to-one conversations. Technology can really aid with that.
And that's what I've been learning throughout the Command process. And I haven't been with Keller Williams for 10 years. I'm coming up on year 1, and that's what I've seen in the last few months is just the ability of the sophistication of Command growing, and how you can do anything from mass communication to one-on-one communication to marketing to drip campaigns to social media campaigns, and all of this can be done through one platform.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the coolest part about it is that it was created by us for us.
Yes.
So it's essentially our own Build-A-Bear. And like you said, it's so even consumer friendly on the other end, and that's such a valid point. It's not just thinking like a real estate agent all the time, it's thinking like a consumer.
Yeah, and I think you're also seeing like with some of the really amazing and incredible new features that are rolling out, so many of that is mobile based first, and it's coming through the Command app. And we have the entire team to think about that, to think for that. However, Chris Cox, who's amazing and a blessing, and our like head of innovation and technology, before he worked for Keller Williams, he worked for USAA. And somebody shared with me once that he and his team built out the banking app for USAA. And
Wow.
he needed it to be the best in class experience because he's like, I have fighter pilots who are, in the middle of the ocean and need to ensure that they've been paid properly and that their family back home is good. Like, we need to have access to it, to see the technology. And so I really see and I appreciate when we look at the Command app that Chris and his team are doing such a great job of understanding that if you're an agent, especially in today's market, like you are not coming into an office and just working from an office all day long. You are on the go and you are all these places and you are networking. And we knew that we really needed something that you could literally run your business out of your phone. And we're
Yeah.
just seeing with every new update and domino that's coming with that, we're seeing that we're really achieving that at a high level.
Yeah, I agree. So the last question is kind of I think we wanted to spend a little bit more time on, just because it's
Sure.
something tangible that
Yeah.
those who are using the command platform can take an action step away and actually make themselves better with it. So hypothetically, let's just pretend
Okay.
that every listener on here is not yet using it at a high level.
Got it.
What are, if you had all of us in one room right now, what are 1, 2, and 3 that you would have us do, and why would those 1, 2, 3 things in order?
Okay. So number one is I would, and okay, I'm going to be honest. Nobody's going to like my number one.
Light it
Okay.
up. Light it up. I hope it starts with 201.
Nobody's going to like this. And I'm going to ask you to clean your database. Like, this is not fun. I get that, right?
Yeah.
However, we see that one of two things have happened. We see that generally when we look at an agent's command database, we see that you're just adding the bare minimum. You've got an opportunity. You've got to create what's their legal name, what's their email address. That's it. Move forward. So we either see that happen, or we see the complete opposite. And we see that you've got 8,000 contacts in there, and one of them was a pizza delivery driver that you don't even know where they are anymore or who they are, right?
Right.
I think so often we talk about building a database, and we know that that's so important. We have to really strive for quality of contacts. And so my number one thing is always going to be, and I call it like the cleaning, the spring cleaning, the cleaning the closet of the database. And I know it's not fun, but it's really going in and looking at the data that you have for every single contact and, figuring out, do I have their birthday in here? Do I have notes about who their spouse is or their kids? Do I have them tagged so I kind of know where I have them or how I know them? Have I added their home address? So really, I think that can save you, honestly, a lot of time, because when we look at an agent's business, on average, they're having to look at 14 different systems throughout the course of a day or a week to get all the data that they need.
Right.
And so examples of that might be, oh, I don't have their phone number in command, but I can look in my phone for that. I don't know when their birthday is, but let me just go to Facebook and figure out when that is. And so it's literally like, we don't think that we're using all these systems, but we are.
Right.
And so number one would absolutely be clean up the contacts that you currently have, continue to add them on an everyday basis, and really make sure that you have the valuable data for them.
Got it. And to be clear, a contact, telephone number, email, address, and full name.
I'm going to love for birthday too. Like, if we can add a birthday, if we can tag them. And then if you were the agent that assisted with them in a home sale, just add the home anniversary. You know it all. And those are like excuses, right, for you to reach out to people.
Yeah. And all we're doing is trying to build the purpose of this, and using command at a high level. The whole purpose of getting all this information is to get to that 33 touch throughout the year.
100%.
That's
and
the point.
Asked bluntly, which a lot of people that are watching this know me and know that this is said with love, and asked bluntly, if you were to sell your database tomorrow, how much could you get for it? Because if it's the equivalent of the white pages, you're not going to get a lot, right? If it's just random, don't even know who these people are. So like, if
I
we're
am writing that down. Golly, that's so valuable. If you sold your database tomorrow, how much would you get for it? That's good stuff. All right, number 2. Number 1, clean your database. Number 2.
Yep. Number 2, and it's 2 different things, but I'm gonna include it as one item.
All right.
What I see, I think, a lot with our associates is we go to Smart Plans and it's like a kid in a candy store, and there's so many different ones in there, and it's like, oh, I should use all of them, or I should use this for this person or this for that person. And I'm a big fan of really simplifying things. So if you do not have every single contact in your database on these 2 Smart Plans, this is where I would start.
Okay.
Quarterly call Smart Plan and the monthly neighborhood nurture.
Quarterly call and neighborhood nurture.
Yep.
Okay.
And that right there is automatically, with the phone calls that you're making, 16 touches. And then, yes, we can go into a 36 touch. We can cement that mind share with them. But if we're at least starting with this, and you know that you are reaching out to them, having a phone call with them at least 4 times a year. You're sending them data and details about any neighborhood in the United States, especially where they live, about what's happening with home sales, average days on market, all kinds of content there. We just want to make sure that we've added them to that. And then if I can add like a little, this is a part of that, but I would say it's like an additional tip, is use the command app to actually complete the tasks. So
Yeah.
when it says that, Andy is due for a phone call through the quarterly call plan, call them through the command app, because number one, it's going to record that you've actually done it. But number two, it's going to prompt you and say, do you want to add notes about this? And we can add a note of everything that you and I talked about. So then 90 days from now, when I go to call you again, all of those notes are there. And what we find is it just cements the relationship. You're just leaving and exactly where you were in the last conversation. And it makes it so much simpler and so much easier.
I love it. So 1, clean your database. 2, quarterly call and neighborhood nurture. And that's cool too, because I mean, on a 33 touch plan, 16, I mean, you're at 49.9% of all of your touches just in those 2 smart plans. So number 3.
Okay, number 3 is going to be use opportunities the way that they are intended to be used.
Which
I'm going to break that down more.
Break it down.
So I think there might be a large amount of agents that say, oh my gosh, I went on a listing appointment and I have a listing and now it's under contract. I should probably create the opportunity and I should submit it to the market center and I should have all of that done. And I get it. You're running in 1,000 different directions. However, I encourage you to think of opportunities like this. If I were to go to an agent's physical office, and when I do, a lot of times I see a whiteboard in their office and I see that it has, here's my active listings, here's my buyers that are under contract, here's what's closing for the month. Opportunities is all that, but what's really, really cool is it starts to have forecasting for your business based off of the data that you're feeding it.
Yeah.
So what I mean about really using opportunities is when you are at a networking event and you run into somebody and they say, I haven't really thought of selling, but we're just like, we're seeing the houses around us and they're going for a lot. And I don't know if we maybe even could get the right price, like we might consider it. That's a potential listing lead that we want to immediately enter into Cultivate. And here's why. The system starts to track it and it starts to understand how many days on average a seller is sitting in the Cultivate stage before we move them to an appointment and then before we move them to active and under contract. So in any market, an agent needs to know their numbers. In a shifting market, you need to know your numbers and then some. And really the data and easy input of saying, I've got an appointment, I'm cultivating, whether it's a buyer, whether it's a seller. And you can do that through the app too. So you can literally like on demand enter that.
Yeah. I think you kind of hit on a point when you started talking about forecasting, because that's something that I don't think I had my mind completely wrapped around. Full transparency, I don't think I had my mind wrapped around it until family reunion, when you realize that 20% of the entire nation's residential real estate transactions ran through a Keller Williams office. Mm-hmm. And you hear that and it's like, wow, Keller Williams is killing it. But from a command level, you're like, no, that's 20% of all the United States transactions going through the same platform.
Yes.
Which means we have all of the data.
Right.
We have all of the information. And the reason it's grown to what it is now, that I came to understand, is because people are starting to, the adoption rate of command is going up because of the sophistication of it, which is giving us more intel and it's giving us more insight, and it's teaching command to be able to tell us things like forecasting.
100%. And then cool. As an agent, if I know that, I've got this, and the way that I set up my opportunities is I have in Cultivate, I do it by time because that just makes sense to me. So right. I'm saying these are sellers that are 6 to 12 months out. These are sellers that are 3 to 6. And then these are sellers that are thinking of listing in the next 90 days. And so that allows me to go in and take a look at any time, but also kind of see what is slipping between the cracks. Because if we look at an average agent's database, and let's say that they have around 500 contacts, that's a lot of scrolling and a lot of what tag should I be looking at to try to figure that out. Versus if I go to opportunities and I'm looking at what did I miss of someone that potentially we had a discussion about listing in the next 6 months, and I can easily take a look at that by looking at the different phases. So I'm not missing anything, and I'm making sure that I'm following up in a way that I promised the consumer I would do.
Sure. So I'm gonna blindside you with a question.
All good.
It's a loaded question.
Okay.
Why am I hammering my market center so hard on 201 plus contacts in Command right now?
Great question. So, to your point, because we have the data through Command, we've been looking at data in Command. And so what we can see is agents that have 201 plus, and the real number is 201 to 1,000 contacts. We can see that agents that have that on average make $119,535 in GCI in 12 months when they have those contacts that then they're effectively communicating with. That's about 35,000 agents in our ecosystem that are at that level. So if we have 180,000, we're leaving some behind, and we want them to be a part of the 201 club. So yes, you're hammering it. I would say you're velvet hammering it like Mo with love, and coming from a place of,
yeah,
we know that success leaves clues. And so this is literally like, if you want to make $120,000 in GCI in 12 months, these are the steps that you need to follow to be able to be a part of that.
And it seriously is just steps.
Yes.
And here's the thing. Let me ask you a different question. Let's say that let's say zero of my dollars in GCI have come from, let's say I made $200,000 in 2022.
Okay.
And zero of it came from Command. Does that mean if I get to 201 and communicate effectively through Command, that I go from 200 to 319?
I mean, I would like to test it.
It's math.
And right, yeah, I think it's just that we're communicating with them effectively, and it's literally a system. Like I so often I hear a lot of people say, well, I'm not techie and I don't like technology, and technology confuses me. And it's not technology that you don't like, because technology actually makes your life significantly easier.
Sure.
It's the learning new things that we don't all love, right? And we like, like I'm an Apple lover and I love all Apple devices, but then there's an update and I'm like, this button used to be here and now it's confusing. So we all feel that, and we all feel that pain. However, we're just using Command as a system. It's literally just asking you, what system do you have in your business that you're communicating effectively? It's just that technology is the actual platform that we're using for that.
Yeah. So 1, clean your database. 2, quarterly call neighborhood nurture. 3, use opportunities the way they were created to be used.
100%. And I think there's so much stuff that you can do in Command.
So much stuff.
This is just where we need to start. And this is the business basics. And it's interesting that this is really what we also have through the app, right? We could have gone many different ways through the app. We could have said, I want to be able to create an open house flyer on the app. I don't know how many people would actually use that, right? And that's not the way that we're going to build a scalable business, right, by doing that. But by ensuring that you're doing this, it's going to seem easy, but it's literally that you're just doing the activities every day.
Yeah. And it's like Mark King said, and what you just said, it's not difficult. It's the pain of learning the new. It's the difficulty of changing.
Yes.
And to follow up with what Gary Keller said, change is either viewed as a threat or an opportunity, and choose wisely.
Yeah.
So it's not overwhelming. It's doing it. So listen, I cannot thank you enough for taking 30 minutes out of your ridiculously busy day to spend with us, and everybody here is so grateful for it. I have one last question before you go.
Please.
March Madness starts tomorrow. Who you got?
Okay, Andy, this is where I love you.
Listen, I'm not gonna judge. I just want to know where your heart's at.
Okay, here's what my heart is broken because both of my parents are UNC graduates.
So is my wife.
Okay, so here's some trivia. The last time that the number one ranked team didn't make it into the NCAA tournament was 1985. So there's some trivia. So I'm gonna go. There is, I think, Florida Atlantic, or there's a school that kind of like squeaked in there that we didn't think. I'm gonna go for the underdog now because I went to Florida State. I have no fight. I think we won 2 games in the ACC this year, so I have no dog in this fight at all. I would always, as my dad, I'll make him proud and say anybody but Duke. That's my
You could have left it out. Well, hey, listen, I appreciate you seriously, and anything I can ever do for you. Daniel adores you, and everything that you say, is gold to him, and you have turned him and helped turn him into my most valuable asset in the market center, outside of our MCA, who is also amazing. So
I will tell you that's his doing, and the feeling is mutual. And any agent that's watching this that has the privilege of having Daniel as the MCT in the market center, please use him and schedule time with him. He's so well versed in this and has a great understanding, and I know just wants to help you thrive.
I'm going to so I always sign off the call by telling people to wait on 1 minute so they can see who's coming next, but I got to tell Cydne while she's still watching. So Mark King is next week.
Love it.
He's the guest on the show here, but here's why I have to explain this. You're going to see on the advertisement, guys, for next week that the day and the time is to be determined. That's because I'm going to be in Texas live with him all week. And he said, hey, I said, when are you doing my show? And he said, hey, why don't you just do it live with me in Texas?
How cool is that?
So I don't know when he's going to say, hey, you come here into my office and let's just do it now. So Russian roulette, I'm going to let you guys know with as much leeway as I can tell you and as much in advance as possible. But that's who's next week. Cydne Seymour, you're awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right. Let me know if you need anything on our end. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for one more minute. See who's coming up next.